You look just like him.
Hey.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to kind of blow through this, but in terms of thin clients, if you're not familiar with what they are, they're computers. They're just a lot less money to support them, use a lot less power. There's no data stored on them. You don't have the issue of that employee stealing the data that Jack showed in his previous presentation. So what I want everyone to do is entirely focus on filling out your form, ignore everything I have to say for the next one. This won't take long. So, where does thin client technology come into play? We work off of Citrix, we work off of Microsoft Terminal Services, but where thin client technology comes into play is, if you look at my first slide, the cost savings of using secure access within computing, that's where it comes into play. Your people that, your remote office locations, your branches, your call centers, your manufacturing facilities, if you're in healthcare, your nurse carts, your stations for the nurses. Road warriors can come into play with this technology. Facilities around the world. Savings can be found in this technology in many different areas, and that's what I'm going to tell you about real quickly. And then finally, secondarily, how do your employees work? Most of your employees today either spend a lot of time at their device, which is probably a personal computer, sitting there all day, downloading their iTunes and their phone, doing their job and focusing on the applications that you offer them and getting their work done. People that are on the road, of course, may use a laptop, may go from branch to branch and use a station, a hotel station, a PC that's set up. And then you have a mix of people, hybrids, that spend a lot of time at the desk, some on the road, vice versa. But how they work can directly play into the access you give them via the solutions that were already discussed, and then what hardware you make available to them. So today, what do you have out there? You got PCs, laptops, PDAs, and then actual thin clients themselves. I'll pass these around in a minute, but when I talk about a thin client, I talk about a device with solid state, no moving parts, no hard drive. What's inside these things? A processor, memory, and flash. What else is on them? Well, you'll see there's serial ports, there's parallel ports, there's a PCMCIA card bus slot, there's legacy PS2 ports. These devices can be set up horizontally, vertically. They can be mounted on the back of monitors where you won't even see the device using a VISA bracket. We have customers that put them on manufacturing floors, put them on forklifts, set up wireless with them. The devices themselves are very rugged and are meant to run in, tough conditions, harsh environments. But what they offer you are savings in terms of the cost to buy them, the cost to support them, the security, the power usage, and then basically, the tie-in with the applications you're already running today, and having a product that you don't have to worry about leaving the workplace. Someone steals a thin client and they take it home. In most cases, they get caught bringing it back the next day. There's no real use for it at home. It's not a PC, and there's no data sitting on it. So let me jump ahead here. So when you look at what makes up the solution, there's the hardware. There's the management software. So if you have a number of thin clients set up in your environment, so if you're Walmart, you have 70,000 thin clients, we provide the device management software so you can manage all the devices, set up the image, re-image them, flash them, depending what you're doing in terms of the operating system. And then finally, of course, there's a services piece, and that's where MTM comes into play as our premier provider for the technology. So when it comes down to it, all of you are in the IT area. And at the end of the day, each year you're given less budget, you need to do more with it, and they want you to save dollars. And what are some of the costs you run into when you're putting out a PC versus a thin client? Well, you look at the blue section, you have the hardware and the software. Right above that, you have your operations, you have your administration, you have your end user IT costs, and then you have your downtime. If you take a look at an unmanaged XP desktop or a typically managed desktop versus a well-managed, and you go to the far side and look at a Windows-based thin client, so one example is XP embedded, you're going to see a big cost savings or total cost of ownership reduction. That's where the money can be saved in an environment where you use a solution, you don't run into the issues in terms of support that you run into with a PC. You don't run into the issues in terms of setup or installation. You don't run into these security issues. This doesn't represent, there's a cost associated with security, of course. And then also finally the power savings, which comes in under administration. These things use watts of power in the 5 to 10 watt area versus a PC, which is a much larger number. And then also your mean time before failure. Customers run these instead of 3 years like a desktop PC, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Right now we're closing on a deal for 3,000 of these with the Administrative Office, Pennsylvania Courts, where they have 2,800 of our old model. They had them for 6 years, and now they're putting their new thin client technology out. So what's one of those culprits that's in your desktop, right? The hard drive, right? You have OS browser vulnerabilities, your liabilities with HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, the article that Jack showed about machine data being stolen and everyone's social security number at risk. That's happened at numerous corporations, not just to the federal government. So theft, and then of course all your issues with viruses and malware and so forth. Thin client technology, we have 2 form factors, but we work on 4 different operating systems. So I mentioned XP embedded. We also work with Linux, CE embedded. CE embedded has had no virus threat or any viruses affect CE operating system yet. And we have our own operating system called the Wyse Thin OS, which is about a meg in size. The unit boots up in about 5 seconds, and it's been around for, about 6+ years, and it hasn't had a security breach either. So again, just giving you an idea, it sits on the desk. All thin clients come with a mouse and a keyboard. You get whichever monitor you want to get with the solution. Now when you look at the way this gets set up, I mentioned the Citrix environment. You got your ICA going out there, your program neighborhood, your NFuse, which is web interface. You're able to make all that data available to your user. Now, maybe this is someone sitting in a call center, as I mentioned earlier, or someone in a lab, or an administrative group of people. You're able to give them all the applications they need to do their job, just as if they had a desktop PC. But what they don't have, the hard drive. What they don't have, depending on which model you get, the ability to plug things in. Maybe you don't want to give them the ability to plug in a USB key and take that data on the road with them. You don't have to offer that with the thin client technology. So what are the disadvantages, right? What do you hear when you try and deploy thin client technology from your users? They can't access all the stuff they like. They can't download to the hard drive. They can't access their USB drive. They can't access all their multimedia applications. Well, do you want them doing all those things in the first place, right? I don't know how many of you guys take the time to walk around your offices and see what people are doing in their cubicles. Sometimes it's actually work, sometimes it's other stuff. When you're using thin client technology in conjunction with Citrix and offered via the services of MTM, you're making available to them the actual work and the applications they need to be focused on. So, is that a disadvantage to you, the IT group? Of course not. You're making a lower cost up front, lower long-term cost technology available to your users. Yeah, there's that emotional issue, but at the end of the day, when most users are up on this technology, they seem to notice there's no real difference. And whether they have that desktop PC or this little teeny box, they call it, that's sitting on their desk, that's making their work, their internet, whatever they need access to available to them. So, advantages. Security and compliance, which I mentioned. CE has never had a virus. Our own OS has not been hacked. If you're looking at XP embedded, thin client solution, it's XP, right? So it's Microsoft's embedded version. You have your same issues as if you were running an XP desktop. Simple manageability. Our device management software, we used to call it Rapport, if you're familiar with it, allows you to manage the devices locally. So JP Morgan Chase, who's got 10,000 of these things, they manage all of these devices for all their call centers out of the card services location up the road here in Delaware by using the device management software. That comes with the unit, no additional cost. Also, all these units come with a 3-year hardware warranty. And I mentioned the keyboard, the mouse, and the management software. So we renamed it Wyse Device Manager. Okay, availability. You know, you can get up and running on a thin client quickly. When you come to work, you pop it on, your applications and your access comes available in 5 seconds or 10 seconds, depending on which operating system you're using. So you might have been familiar with a product that was called Blazer from Wyse in the past. We renamed that the S10. So we have our S model and our V model. Of course, there's a difference in size. The S model, which is available in all 4 operating systems, has a 500 megahertz processor, flash memory, 2 USB ports on the front, 1 on the back. 2 on the back, so a total of 4 USB. Your monitor, your serial port, your power, your little keystone lock if you want to, you're worried about people stealing these things, your sound on the front, and you're good to go. S stands for streamlined, low cost. Ranges from $299 list price up to $529 list price for the XP embedded version. Then you have your V class, a little bit larger. But what do? We add a lot of legacy ports to it. It's got a gigahertz processor. It's got a parallel port, a second serial port, 3 USB ports, your legacy PS2 mouse and keyboard connections, of course your 10100, and then your PCMCIA card bus slot. Plug a wireless card in there. Maybe you need multi-monitor support. Viltronic makes a card you plug in. You could have dual monitors. So a financial person who needs to do trading or so forth. I'm going to actually pass these around. They're dead. They don't work. Second, I'm back. And you guys can just take a look at them in terms of size, weight, and so forth. And they're pretty durable. J.P. Morgan, as part of their testing, they took one and threw it in the ocean and then plugged it in to see if it would still work, and it did. Had some, jellyfish stuff on it.
See, one of them's got vents on the side.
Of those units?
The larger one, the B unit, has vents on the sides.
They actually both do. I mean, they both have them,
So
and just to
garage-
dissipate the heat.
Do you have anything for like a garage environment where there's a lot of dust?
These actually work in manufacturing environments, and we can talk offline about that. As I mentioned, Tyco uses them on their forklifts, and they have wireless connection, and they do inventory, so forth, and they get extremely dirty, but keep on ticking.
How much overhead does it take at the server level?
A thin client? A thin client is, from a server level perspective, is no different than a desktop, meaning, you're still going to access your applications via Citrix or terminal services. Where the thin client savings comes in is at that desktop standpoint, on the power savings, a more secure device, less upfront costs, cheaper to manage and maintain over a longer period of time, going from 3 years to double that to 6 years. Oh, and then I mentioned mean time before failure. You look at a PC, it's around 20,000 hours. A thin client's up around 175,000 hours. So big difference in terms of the life of it. And then what are the advantages of the reduced total cost of ownership, which I was telling you guys about? Well, you can have a 40% reduction in your hardware and software costs. You have a 29% reduction in your IT operation costs, 88% in your worker downtime, 78% increase in IT staff productivity. Unfortunately, a lot of your organizations, they want you to do more with less people. This technology allows you to do that. And then power consumption-wise, I'm not going into detail here, but a lot less power is used in terms of watts per hour with a thin client than an actual desktop PC. Why is this important? Over at Lehman Brothers, they have no more power available on their trading floor. They can't plug in another computer. Traders have more than one computer set up at their desk. They need to move to a technology that's going to have less power consumption. And if you take a look at power consumption, you say your cost per kilowatt is 15.8 cents. You do that per year. You look at 100 PCs, you're saving $6,600. You look at, you're using $6,600 in energy. 100 thin clients, $728. Significant difference, savings of almost $6,000 a year. You look at a bigger number, 1,000 desktops, you're looking at saving $60,000 a year in power consumption. And then 5,000 desktops, you're up to $300,000. And if you're our biggest customer, Walmart, you're saving over almost $6 million a year in power consumption by using the technology. Let me just build this out real quick. These are examples of some of our customers and savings they've associated by using the technology. Quaker Foods, City of Dayton, major retailer, another major retailer. I already told you the name of that one, but not supposed to tell you, but what are they going to do, shoot me? So basically, there's the retail marketplace, pharmaceutical, there's financial, there's manufacturing. Thin client technology plays everywhere. We have some great IDC white papers, Gartner. I can send you all the details. We have an ROI calculator. You can plug in your own numbers and see what type of savings you can come up with the technology. Let me just, there's been articles written in the last year about the savings associated with going thin. Wyse ourselves, this is old, we're 40 quarters in the lead in market share, which is 10 straight years. Wyse invented the thin client in 1995. Has been in business over now 25 years. All good stuff. Just to finish up here real quick, and we beat the pants off
Try Dart's first state race express bus from the Christiana
Neoware and HP. So just to finish up real quick,
that goes directly to Dover International.
number one, I was looking for volume. Number one, if you're not using thin client technology, you should take a look at it. I have a quick brochure on it, which I'll have up here at the table. I have a really cool pen, which doubles as a camera, takes digital photos. Full of shit, it's just a pen. And I got my business cards. But what I want to say to you is...
Will the owner of a black SUV who left your lights on relax and enjoy the race?
A NASCAR person with a black SUV. I don't know what all of you do, what your companies do, but thin client applies. Why did I leave Citrix? You might have told me last year I was at Citrix, now I'm at Wyse. The reason is Citrix is a great company, don't get me wrong. Wyse is exploding. Thin client market has grown 22% year over year for the last 3 years because customers are realizing they don't need a full-blown desktop on every single desktop. So maybe 20% of your environment can use thin client technology, maybe 60%. But the savings you have there, you can use with some of the other technologies that were represented today. And finally, with MTM, I've been working with InfoSystems since 1990. So I know these guys forever, and some of them actually are back from 1990. At Intel, at Citrix, now at Wyse, they've never failed me. Their people are trained. Their people understand the technology. There's Rick in the back. I'm not sure what he understands. But the point being that you can get the support from them. And if you're interested in getting a thin client, testing it out, playing with it in your environment, either let me know or let Rick or one of his salespeople know. We'll get you a unit. Very simple to get it set up, connect it to your Citrix environment, and you're ready to rock and roll and start seeing how simple it is to use this technology. And then we'll do a cost differential for you, and then, go from there.
Quick question for you. Mobile. Thin client mobile.
Great question. A while ago it was available from Wyse. There is no thin client laptop available right now. Every now and then someone asks about it, then I get asked, well, how many would Subaru buy if we had them available?
Probably about 600-700.
Right. So we continue to feed that data back. Because on some side of it, customers say, there's no value in a thin client notebook. This gentleman here, Paul, needs to be mobile, needs to have a hard drive, needs to have access to his data at all times. But in other circumstances that you might be thinking of in Subaru, it makes sense. Right now, I don't believe anyone offers a thin client laptop, but we continue to feedback, and I'll give the feedback about Subaru as well.
You've got the OMB mandate down in D.C. too, so the federal guys are want to stay away from having hard drives.
Right, absolutely true, and in that space, it seems to be growing considerably. By the way, what are you recording this for, pal?
Huh?
Send it down to...
Don't worry, I know the strategic edits I need to make.
11:15. Any other questions?
How do you lock down the
Taking
device
that out.
through Windows policies,
Also
or
jack on
is
it,
there a
things that I
special Wyse configuration?
Depends if you're running the XP embedded unit, the Linux, the CE, or our own thin OS. Each one, it's different. If you're running XP, you're going to use your typical Microsoft Windows policies. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, sir.
How about patching? That's pretty
You can do all your patching of XP with our device management software that comes with it. Remember, there's no difference and the reason the XP unit, as an example, the XP embedded B unit is $599 list price, right? It's more money because Bill needs more money. Bill needs a bigger house, I guess. So it's the same XP as if you had a desktop set up with XP. Any other questions? Okay, I got a question in my fantasy football. Is Portis going to do well this week? What do you guys think? Who are you talking about? Okay, if you want a special secret picture-taking pen, a card, or a brochure, they'll be up here. Thanks, Rick. Back to you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam.